Chapter 9, Section 3, The Fall of Rome, page 270. Objectives. Explore how bad government contributed to the decline of the Roman Empire. Understand the fall of the Roman Empire. Discuss Constantine's role in support for Christianity. Learn how northern invaders contributed to the collapse of the Roman Empire. Key terms. Constantine, Emperor of Rome, from 312 to 337 AD, encouraged the spread of Christianity. Mercenary, a soldier who serves for pay in a foreign army. Inflation, an economic situation in which the government issues more money with lower value. Emperor Constantine stood with his troops near a bridge spanning the Tiber River. On that day in AD 312, the sky was full of clouds, and Constantine was filled with doubts. His enemies were waiting on the other side of the river. As Constantine stood, hoping for victory, the sun broke through the clouds. According to one story, Constantine saw a cross in the sky. Above the cross was written in Latin, "Under this sign you will conquer." A different story claims that Constantine had a dream. Because of this dream, Constantine had his soldiers' shields marked with a Christian symbol. In the battle, Constantine's army won an overwhelming victory. Constantine believed that the victory had come from the Christian God. Constantine vowed to become a Christian. Historians today debate whether Constantine had these religious experiences or whether they are just legend. But Constantine, Rome's emperor from AD 312 to 337, strongly encouraged the spread of Christianity. Page 271. From good rule to bad. The Christian Church provided comfort and authority at a time when the mighty Roman Empire was close to collapse. By the time Constantine took power, he could do little to stop the empire's fall. The trouble had started 125 years earlier when Marcus Aurelius died. The emperor left his son Commodus in power in AD 180. Commodus was only 18 when he became emperor. Marcus Aurelius was aware that his son was not qualified to rule the empire, but Commodus was in line to inherit power. Marcus Aurelius may have believed that Commodus would grow to be a good emperor as time went by. Commodus allowed others to help run the empire, but he made poor choices. He stood by as others worked to destroy the power and prestige of the Senate. Commodus himself showed little use for the Senate by not seeking its approval before he acted. He kept a grip on power by bribing the army to support him. His bold, extravagant, and savage ways were his downfall. He loved the bloodshed of the gladiators. He took part in the games himself, dressed as the hero Hercules, as well as in other costumes. Commodus had planned to appear as gladiator on the first day of 193, but he was assassinated on New Year's Eve in 192. Reading check. What happened to the Roman Senate under the Emperor Commodus? Page 272. The Empire crumbles. The decline of the Roman Empire began under Commodus. Historians do not agree on any one cause for this decline. They believe that several problems led to the fall of Rome. Weak, corrupt rulers. After Commodus, emperors were almost always successful generals, not politicians. They often stole money from the treasury. They used the money to enrich themselves and pay for the loyalty of their soldiers. The government and the economy became weak, and the Senate lost power. Would-be rulers gained the throne by violence. Between AD 180 and AD 284, Rome had 29 emperors. Most were assassinated. A mercenary army. In early times, the Roman army had been made up of citizen soldiers ready to defend their land. Now the army was filled with mercenaries, foreign soldiers who served for pay. Mercenaries were motivated by money, not by loyalty to any cause. They often switched sides if doing so would work to their personal advantage. Rome's strength had depended on a strong army that was loyal to the empire. This was now a memory. Page 273. The size of the empire. The Roman Empire had grown too large. Enemies launched attacks all over the empire. Many conquered territories regained their independence. The Roman army spent its time defending the empire instead of extending its authority. Consequently, the empire shrank. Serious economic problems. When Rome stopped conquering new lands, new sources of wealth were no longer available. The empire struggled to pay its army. To raise money, the government raised taxes. Meanwhile, the people of the empire suffered severe unemployment. Food was scarce, so its price went up. To pay for food, the government produced more coins. The value of those coins was dependent upon the amount of silver in them, but because the government did not have much silver, less of this metal was put in each coin. The change resulted in inflation, an economic situation in which more money circulates, but the money has less value. When inflation is not controlled, money buys less and less. Roman coins soon became worthless. Efforts to stop the decline. Some emperors tried to stop the empire's decline. Diocletian worked to strengthen Rome. He enlarged the army, built new forts at the borders, and improved the tax system. Diocletian also divided the empire into two parts to make it easier to rule. He ruled the wealthier eastern part of the empire and appointed a co-emperor to rule the western part. Reading check. What problems did having a mercenary army cause for the empire? Page 274. Constantine and Christianity. Diocletian and his co-emperor stepped down in AD 305. A struggle for power followed. For 7 years, generals fought one another for power until one, Constantine, became the winner. As you read earlier, Constantine reported that the Christian God had helped his army win the battle for control of Rome. The victory at the bridge over the Tiber made Constantine sole ruler of the Roman Empire in the west. In the east, rule of the Roman Empire was shared by Licinius and Maximus. In 313, Licinius took complete control of the eastern parts of the empire. Freedom of religion. Also in 313, Constantine and Licinius proclaimed freedom of worship for people across the empire. Under Diocletian and others, Christians had been tortured and punished for their beliefs. Now, Rome would no longer persecute the Christians. They were free to practice their religion openly. They could organize churches. Property that had been taken from them was returned. Christianity would soon become the official religion of the Roman Empire. Another Christian victory. In 324, Constantine won several battles against Licinius for control of the eastern half of the Roman Empire. Now, Constantine was emperor of both East and West. Although Licinius and Constantine had agreed to tolerate all religions when they began sharing power in 313, Licinius had continued to allow the persecution of Christians in the East. Constantine saw his victory over Licinius as further proof that the Christian God was working through him. Page 275. Building a faith. During his 25 years as emperor, Constantine worked to strengthen the Christian church. In 325, he stepped in to help solve a religious crisis. The church almost split apart when Eastern and Western church leaders disagreed on certain issues of faith. Constantine led a meeting in Nicaea that brought the two sides together and kept the church whole. Constantine was a leading force behind the construction of important Christian places of worship. He helped plan and pay for the construction of a church in Jerusalem on the spot where Jesus was crucified, buried, and is said to have risen from the dead. The Church of St. Peter in Rome was also built with his help. Constantine also supported the building of churches in the city that would become the empire's new capital. A new capital. In 330, Constantine moved the capital of the Roman Empire east to the city of Byzantium in what is now Turkey. It was a natural move for the emperor. He had grown up in the east and had lived in the eastern Roman city of Nicomedia at the court of the emperor Diocletian. The move east also made sense for the empire. Rome had not been its political center for some time. Constantine spared no expense in enlarging Byzantium and filling it with riches. When he dedicated the city as the new capital of the empire, he called it New Rome. Soon, however, the capital was known by a different name, Constantinople, the city of Constantine. With the emperor and the emperor's capital in Constantinople, the power of the Roman Empire was now firmly in the east. Reading check. What city became the new capital of the Roman Empire? Page 276. Invasions and collapse. Constantine struggled to keep the empire together, but the forces pulling it apart were too great. After his death, invaders swept across Rome's borders and overwhelmed the empire. The invaders belonged to northern tribes. Today, we call them Germanic tribes. The Romans called them barbarians. In the past, the Roman army had been able to defeat these tribes. Now, however, they could not stop the intruders. In the 400s, the Germanic tribes overran the empire. One tribe, the Visigoths, captured and looted Rome in 410. The Vandals, another Germanic tribe, took Rome in 455. The Roman emperor was almost powerless. The last Roman emperor was 14-year-old Romulus Augustulus. His name recalled more than 1,000 years of Roman glory, but the boy emperor did not win glory for himself. In 476, a German general took power and sent the emperor to work on a farm. After Romulus Augustulus, no emperor ruled over Rome and the western part of the empire. However, even after Rome fell, the eastern part of the empire remained strong. Its capital, Constantinople, remained the center of another empire, the Byzantine Empire, for 1,000 years. Reading check. Who was Romulus Augustulus, and what was his fate?